the stories this week were featured in independentleft.news. You're going to see tonight. Please make sure, share this link. Please share this out. Like the stream. Subscribe to our channels everywhere that you watch, listen. We're also on podcasts. We're actually co-streaming and live streaming this on independentleft.news. So technically we are on 9 platforms if you want to count it, because we are self-hosting. Also want to say thank you so much to the people that actually make this show happen. This guy sitting next to me, Reef, for sure. Without him, it wouldn't happen. The Big Bad Crab, Greg. He's awesome. Love him to death. Phantomas Phanto, who cuts our videos and he does our editing. And then we've got Fred Edward and the resident skeptic Chris Gilman on the Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, sharing and making sure that everybody sees what everybody's doing out there. Really appreciate everybody out there so much. If you want to volunteer and if you want to help, and we always need a lot more help, all hands on deck, sharing this out and sharing it out, and we from your own accounts, or we can potentially, if we work out how you can share it from the INN account or from the Indie Left account. And again, we can use all the help we can get right now. So really appreciate that and appreciate everybody pitching in. I want to get to our first story, which everybody sees is the CIA infiltrating Google. So let's get right to that. Let's go to our thumbnail first for a second, and then we're going to go to our Indie Main. Hey, it all works right. Look at that. Okay, so let's turn off though. Hey, Eric T. Red, what's up? Oz, put everybody's things up on screen. By the way, Anthony Malecki, thank you so much for the $10 Rockfin Super Ray tonight. Really appreciate that. Reef definitely could use an extra
appreciated.
little bit of weed money. Reef, you sound like really low. Are you far from the mic, or?
I could be. Would you like me to get closer to the mic?
Is it might be that, like? or it could potentially be that I have you turned out in my Discord, so I can't hear you as loudly as everybody. But if everybody can't hear
that also
Reef
would mean
well, please let us know in chat.
You should
and we'll
turn it up in Discord while you have an opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because that does mean it affects stream volume.
Sure. Okay. Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now we're good. So, like I said, National Security Search Engine, according to Alan MacLeod at MintPress News, who did some banger work here. Okay.
Yeah, I like him.
Google's ranks are filled with CIA agents. Great.
Mm.
Tell us something that we didn't know, but actually but this just confirms it. Again, MintPress News, good independent outlet. They actually just
Zoom that
launched
in for the people at home a little bit, would you?
Sure. They just launched their first show with Lee Camp this week. There we go. So
was it the most controversial or most censored or something like that?
One most censored show ever or something like that. Well, he's the most censored comedian. Just ask him. Again, shout out to Lee. Lovely Camp. Good dude. So, Google, one of the largest and most influential organizations in the modern world, is filled with ex-CIA agents studying employment websites and databases. MintPress has ascertained that the Silicon Valley giant has recently hired dozens of professionals from the CIA in recent years. Moreover, an inordinate number of these recruits work in highly politically sensitive fields, wielding considerable control over how its products work and what the world sees on its screens and in its search results. Now,
he's been talked about for a minute.
Well, it was talked about at Facebook first, and now we're starting to look at Google, and we're seeing that it's a rampant issue across Silicon Valley. Chief amongst these is the Trust and Safety Department, whose staff, in the words of the then Google Trust and Safety Vice President Christy Canagallo, decide what content is allowed on our platform. In other words, setting the rules of the internet, determining what billions see and what they don't see. Before Google, she'd been president of Obama's deputy White House chief. She'd been President Obama's deputy White House chief of staff for implementation and is currently chief of staff for the Department of Homeland Security. So here you're seeing, like K Street, this pipeline, this back and forth between Silicon Valley and high-level White House staff. And again, here's the article that Alan had written up about the ex-CIA agents that are deciding Facebook's content policy. This dude specifically, I know Jimmy Dore went on a whole rant about. And of course, this is talking about Mike Pompeo, that we lied, we cheated, we stole, right? So many of the team helping her make calls on what should be allowed on platforms like YouTube are former CIA employees, for example. This person, Jacqueline Lepore, what did she do? She spent 10 years at the CIA serving as a leading government expert on security challenges in South Asia and Middle East, and the go-to writer of quickly needed papers for the U.S. president. She joined Google in 2017, currently a senior intelligence collection and trust and safety manager. So again, she spent 10 years and 3 months right up till 2015. All right, then she spent a couple of years in between doing other work, and I'm sure that if you went to her LinkedIn profile, you'd see it. And then she ended up in global intelligence and intel at Google. Okay, again, and there are names and profiles of people who, again, started from Google to Apple, but prior to that, the CIA, 2015. 2017. So about 2 years after they're leaving government service, they're now going into very high-level private employment. Again, there is nothing in itself that is nefarious about that, except that you never leave the CIA in truth. Okay, this guy spent 8 years as CIA officer. Then in 2019, Google convinced him to leave to become senior manager of trust and safety. I mean, now you're just going right from the CIA to Google. And a lot of times they don't even necessarily stop working for the CIA. They just go liaise and they work for Google. I mean, this is what the Snowden thing was doing when he was at NSA. This is what Intel kind of does. Now, in this case, again, this is CIA, so they weren't operating domestically, but they could have been working out of Virginia potentially. I don't know. And see, he does say at the end here again. So he goes through all these people. So already we've gone through 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and here's another one. 12-year political and leadership analyst, left the agency 2019 to take the job as the intelligence analyst lead in trust and safety at YouTube. She's deciding that our content is not worthy. Thank you, Michelle.
Yep.
Thank you.
We're not worthy.
Apparently, our content is not. So, Alan says, the problem with former CIA agents becoming the arbiters of what is true and what is false and what should be promoted and what shouldn't be deleted is that they cut their teeth at a notorious organization whose job it is to inject lies and false information into the public discourse to further the goals of the national security state. John Stockwell, former head of CIA task force, explained on camera how this organization infiltrated media departments the world over, created fake newspapers and news agencies, and planted fake news about Washington's enemies. He said, I had propagandists all over the world, adding, quote, we pumped dozens of stories about Cuban atrocities, Cuban rapists to the media. We ran fake photographs that made almost every newspaper in the country. We didn't know one single atrocity committed by the Cubans. It was pure, raw, false propaganda to create an illusion of communists eating babies for breakfast. Like literally. And the video is here.
And who is this guy again? I always forget his name.
He's a former CIA agent, John Stockwell. Jimmy Dore is, again, has also had him on stream. So a lot of people have shown this video. It's pretty famous and it's been all over YouTube. It's about 6 minutes long. I don't want to show the whole thing. So he says, so this continues to this day, right? The CIA promoting like the Havana syndrome that has been now proven to be false. And of course, Echosphere, the first song that you heard tonight, is literally the sound that they had played from the Havana syndrome, slowed down and then sped up. First he broke it down and then he sped it up. Jesse's incredible, man. Jesse Jet, if jessejet.bandcamp.com. If you haven't gone there yet, please take 2 seconds. Go to jessejet.bandcamp.com. Open up a new tab in your browser. Don't leave this one. But go to jessejet.bandcamp.com and download the Grift and specifically Echosphere. Okay, listen to, of course, everybody's talking about Powerless and the new video that's out for Powerless. We can talk about all this later. But Mike Pompeo, senior director of the former CIA, right? Admitted as much in 2019. We lied, we cheated, we stole, right? We were told not to lie, cheat, or steal, but as a CIA director, we had entire training courses on how to do it. Surprise, surprise. So, all this is to say nothing about the coup attempts on foreign governments, the drug and weapons smuggling around the world, and the worldwide network of black sites where thousands are tortured. Okay, furthermore, many of the ex-CIA employees listed participated in some of the worst crimes against humanity of the 21st century, the invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq, and are clearly proud of it. So while there is admittedly a limited pool of qualified people for roles in cybersecurity, it's wholly inappropriate that Google is employing so many spooks to run their most sensitive, influential operations. It's practically like handing it over to the government in some ways. And it is especially troubling that so many of the individuals mentioned throughout were plucked directly from the CIA to work at Google, a fact that suggests that either Google is actively recruiting for the intelligence services or that there is some sort of backroom deal between Silicon Valley and the national security state. I would suggest that it's probably the former over the latter, but with the contracts that Google has in place with the government, it's highly possible that that it's both as well. Why not both, right? So, Elizabeth Murray, a retired intelligence agent who spent 27 years at the CIA and other intelligence organizations, explained how Google might benefit from hiring former spies. Quote, by snagging a CIA employee, a company can save a considerable sum, she told MintPress, noting that these individuals have been highly trained and likely have a security clearance, something that's exceptionally difficult to attain in civilian organizations. In terms of benefit to the CIA, a CIA officer could spend several years acquiring a unique set of skills at a social media conglomerate, then return to the agency, parlaying their newly acquired expertise to the benefit of the agency. Now,
I mean, he has a particular set of skills.
That's the
I will find you.
particular set of skills.
I will find you cat memes on Google. Like,
well, no, we know how to impart censorship and have meme wars. I import you on a meme war. You will never survive. Okay, so
Liam Neeson's.
Right. So even if there is nothing explicitly nefarious about this relationship, and so far there is not.
Wait.
Yes.
You know, there is nothing explicitly nefarious. That alone, like, this relationship with Google and the CIA couldn't be explicitly nefarious. What? Okay, continue. Sorry.
Well, the
Just
problem,
caught me that sentence.
The problem is that it does. On the surface, they can contest that it is on the up and up in whatever way they want to do so, for sure. So, again, that is a funny sentence. It still means that Google will start to think like and see problems the same way that the CIA does, and that is accurate. Google has become immensely powerful, transforming itself into a behemoth that dominates online communication, commerce, information gathering, entertainment, and more. In previous articles in this series, he's detailed how Twitter hired dozens of individuals from the FBI, and Facebook is awash with CIA agents, and how NATO has gained a huge presence in TikTok's upper ranks, and how a hawkish war planner from the Atlantic Council was mysteriously appointed to become Reddit's director of policy. But Google's different.
Yep.
You can ignore or choose to not use those other platforms. Google, on the other hand, is far too big to escape from. So, an inordinate amount of Google's intelligence and security teams appear to come from the intelligence and security services. These include the following individuals, and he names names, and I don't necessarily want to out these people one by one. You can go to the article and go through them, but you can see there are a substantial amount, and you can see their LinkedIn profiles, and these things are public, and you can see who they are and what they're up to and what they're all about and where they come from and the connections that he's drawing. Again, I don't want to. Again, they're public, so I wouldn't consider it. I don't know. But read the article. That's all I can say. Alan does tremendous work, and I want to get more people going to MintPress to read this article. Review it by drop the link in the chat if you haven't already. But
I have to go find that.
Shnikes, here. Let me drop it to you on Discord real quick.
That works.
Here. So what he's saying again is that professional background of so many of its security and risk management staff may go a long way to explaining why Google seems focused on countering threats from enemy states of the United States. The company's threat analysis blog is full of published reports about state-backed efforts from Iran, North Korea, Russia, and China to influence this platform, but it never seems to detect any nefarious activities from the U.S. government, because how could they? Aren't Aren't we perfect? So,
Yeah.
right. This is despite the fact that the United States is carrying out, the largest and most extensive attempt in history to manipulate the internet. Oh, right.
Yeah.
A long expose in Newsweek last year detailed how the Pentagon alone fields a clandestine army of at least 60,000 individuals whose job it is to ruthlessly run national security state propaganda campaigns online. NAFO. NAFO. Calling it the largest undercover force the world has ever known. The expose explained that these are the cutting-edge cyber fighters and intelligence collectors who assume false personas online, employing non-attribution and misattribution techniques, lies, to hide the who and the where of their online presence, fucking trolls. While they search for high-value targets and collect what is called publicly accessible information, basically scrolling somebody's timeline on Twitter, or even engage in campaigns to influence or manipulate social media. Maybe even looking at their LinkedIn profile. Interesting.
The way you said the lies and stuff, it reminded me of Carlin a little bit. Lies. Like,
oh, wow. That just
That was a bit. Go back up a little bit. What do they call it?
What?
Go back up. Like, keep scrolling and stop. You were like non-attribution and misattribution, otherwise known as lies. Like, it was very Carlin-esque the way you threw that in there.
That's homage to the king. Okay, so here is the article that Alan had published about the FBI agents, and at some point, if you're ever listening, Alan, man, you love your work and would love to talk to you sometime. But a spook in every department. Google employs CIA agents in a myriad of departments, a selection of which includes, we've got this guy, chief of operations at CIA. Now he's a risk lead in workforce solutions for Google. Very nondescript, perfect for a CIA agent. Nicole Menkoff. Again, I don't want to go through name by name. Here's Candace, and she was, 16 years at the CIA, just got to executive communications manager at Google. Again, nondescript titles, easy to disappear, but this is what they do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's Catherine. Hi, Catherine. Nice to meet you. Well, she just got to Google. Congratulations on your new job. She used to work at Amazon. Before that, she spent, only about 4 months at the CIA as a software intern.
Just 4 months.
Well, she did some cool stuff at the CIA in 2016, but then she moved over to Amazon, where she spent almost 4 years.
She did some cool stuff. Wait, what do they go?
Did some cool stuff.
What?
Some cool stuff.
Some cool stuff. Okay.
That's literally
how they put that.
Ooh, Wayfair too. Good stuff. Wow, she got some pretty good internships. So when's she running for Congress? Because I haven't seen that before. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead.
Why Wayfair too? Why Wayfair?
Oh, Wayfair. Well,
weren't they also didn't QAnon also go after Wayfair forever? Because they were hiding children in cabinets or something.
I
supposedly
for $79,000. Yep, that was a typo, quote unquote.
Okay.
Yep, remember that?
Just making sure. Probably that intern that did it, right?
Right. So again, it is clear that former CIA personnel are deeply embedded within the Silicon Valley giant. Of course, Google is a huge company with thousands of employees. It could therefore be argued that it's unsurprising that any number of former national security state agents would work for it, especially those who have the rare and highly developed skills necessary to preside over user privacy and safety. But this tolerance of spooks in the ranks is not applied evenly. The study could find no examples of former agents of the SVR, the SEBIN, or the Ministry of Defense, the CIA's Russian, Venezuelan, or Iranian equivalents working at Google. Indeed, the very idea seems absurd. Yet dozens of Google employees casually note on public websites that they work for the CIA and appear to see that as entirely unproblematic. Therefore, this relationship is at best inappropriate and at worst a U.S. government power play to control cyberspace. Yeesh. Google users frequently say they want more agency over their data, but the only agency they get is the Central Intelligence Cog.
Yeah, like,
damn! Oh, God. Oh, dude, Alan with the knockout punch.
MacLeod with the people's elbow.
Okay, so next we got Google nurtured by the CIA, which he goes into the history of just exactly how intertwined these two organizations are, right? So, in their 2013 book, The New Digital Age, then Google CEO Eric Schmidt and director of Google Ideas Jared Cohen wrote about how companies like theirs were fast becoming the U.S. empire's most potent weapon in retaining Washington's control over the modern world. As they said, part of the defining freedom of information and expression in the future will entail a new element of military aid. Training will include technical assistance and infrastructural support in lieu of tanks and tear gas, though the latter will probably remain part of the arrangement. What Lockheed Martin was to the 20th century, technology and cybersecurity companies will be to the 21st. And that, again, is a quote from Eric Schmidt, I believe. Excuse me. The prediction has turned out to be accurate, but few people know that Google, from its very inception, was fundamentally intertwined with the CIA. As journalist Nafiz Ahmed's investigation found, the CIA and NSA were bankrolling Stanford PhD student Sergey Brin's research work that would later produce Google. Not only that, but in Ahmed's words, senior U.S. intelligence representatives, including a CIA official, oversaw the evolution of Google in this pre-launch phase, all the way until the company was ready to be officially founded. He concluded that, quote, the United States intelligence community funded, nurtured, and incubated Google as part of a drive to dominate the world through control of information. Seed funded by the NSA and CIA, Google was merely the first among a plethora of private sector startups co-opted by U.S. intelligence to retain information superiority. Damn. And then here's how the CIA made Google. Hey, how about that? So then he says, as of late 2005, In-Q-Tel, which was the CIA's venture capitalist arm, it was a major shareholder in Google. These shares were a result of Google's acquisition of Keyhole Inc., a key-backed surveillance firm whose software eventually became Google Earth. By 2007, Google was selling the government-enhanced versions of Google Earth that it was using for targeting in Iraq, as well as secret search engines that spy agencies were using for surveillance, according to the Washington Post. By this time, the Post also notes, Google was partnering with Lockheed Martin to produce futuristic technology for the military, like robot fucking dogs.
Yep.
As Steve Poikonen, our friend over at Slow News Day, says, oh, Lord, please get me an EMP gun for Christmas. In the 21st century, warfare is more than just bullets and tanks, but Google's attempts to feed from the trough of the military-industrial complex have proven controversial. In 2018, it faced an employee rebellion after securing Pentagon funding for a project designing lethal weaponry systems. That same year, the company dropped its long-standing motto, "Don't be evil." Since then, it has also become a huge CIA contractor. In 2020, it secured part of a CIA cloud services contract reportedly worth, quote, tens of billions of dollars. Ooh. Gosh, it makes me want to put my thumb and pinky up to my mouth. Ooh, Dr. Evil fucking look right there. Therefore, while the company... Yep, one of those. Thank you. Ooh.
You're welcome.
For the longest time, presented itself as a group of outsiders attempting to make the world a better place from the very start, it has been closely connected with the halls of power. Indeed, in 2016, the Google Transparency Project identified at least 258 examples of a revolving door between Google and various branches of the federal government as individuals move from one to the other. Eric Schmidt, and Jared Cohen are two of these examples. Schmidt was chairman of both the National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence and the Defense Innovation and Advisory Board, bodies created to help Silicon Valley assist the U.S. military with cyber weapons. We talked about that before when we talked about our friend Reid Hoffman. Meanwhile, Cohen left as his high-powered job. He left his high-powered job at the State Department to work for Google. Schmidt had served as an advisor, particularly on the Middle East, to both Secretaries of State Condoleezza Rice and Hillary Clinton. He even participated in an unsuccessful 2009 regime change attempt in Iran, successfully pressuring Twitter to maintain services to the country during a U.S.-backed uprising aimed at toppling the government. And I believe taking down Ahmadinejad was the guy's name. And they basically gave him the Putin treatment. He's Hitler. He's the worst guy ever. He's torturing. He's gassing. He's invading. He's this. We have to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, again, this is really important and the most important part of the article. While this article is not trying to claim that any of the individuals named are nefarious CIA plants, the way in which Google and the CIA have worked so closely together raises national security questions for all other nations, especially those attempting to pursue foreign policies independent of the United States. Ultimately, the line between big tech and big brother has been blurred beyond recognition. That is the most important part of this, is that none of these people are being implicated specifically as doing anything nefarious or wrong. The problem is that there is a pattern and there is a connection and there are conversations that occur between former and current coworkers in spite of secrecy, in spite of all of this nonsense that we all sign, we all talk.
Mm-hmm.
So Murray also warned that his hand-in-hand relationship also endangers individual freedoms, meaning that the CIA-Google connection should worry everybody. All of this threatens individual rights to privacy, free speech, freedom of expression. Once they have your data, the U.S. government can use it against you at any time. It's really quite frightening. Yeah, we know. Thanks. We've seen them really operating under that model, and so has Alan, for that matter. You know, he's had his PayPal and his Venmo shut down. So has MintPress. Thousands of dollars stolen or frozen and made all kinds of things difficult. And again, MintPress is free to republish with non-attribution, Creative Commons attribution, non-commercial. So again, international share alike. Big fan of Alan MacLeod. He also writes for Fair. Nice. That's a nice one. Okay, and again, see, these are some of our friends who are over at Google now. Thank you so much. So, diddly-doo.